What's happening, guys? Silent Mike, Supertraining Gym, Mark Bell's Powercast here, showing you guys an accessory pressing day for me, Mr. Daniel, aka Big Rig, aka Fat Dan, and my boy Bryce. This is our second bench day of the week. So typically on the second bench day, with the Westside Conjugate method, you'll do a dynamic effort day, lighter weights, lower reps, higher sets, doing it for speed and power. On our accessory day, many guys have moved it into a bodybuilding type day, a repetition type method, or a day to gather some volume or work on some weak points. So I mentioned in a previous video, I am currently coaching Mr. Daniel into his next meet, which is in March. Personally, I'm just kind of in the off season trying to work on some things. But either way, on our accessory day, what I have programmed for Dan is either close grip or floor press. Floor press is a great move for Dan. He gets a lot of leg drive. Taking that out of it will also build up his arms a lot, which clearly he needs to work on. Big, strong kid, very powerful kid, but he doesn't have a ton of muscle, so this floor pressing can work on his pecs, his shoulders, and his triceps a good amount. We're just doing sets of 8 to 10. Nothing crazy. Dan's using 265 pounds or so. I'm using about 245 pounds. I think Bryce ended up using like 275 or something. The kid's a fucking monster. The floor press is actually great for Bryce, I think, too. It allows him to bench a little bit more flat and doesn't require him to use stability like he does on a regular bench. Bryce only has one leg, so when he has to stabilize on a regular bench, he's almost crooked because he's pushing off kind of his left trap and lat and then his right leg to find some stability. So he presses in a straight line. He's built up in a straight line, but his body's kind of actually twisted when he's pressing. He doesn't necessarily get leg drive, and I'm not joking by any means. He just uses his leg for some stability so he doesn't roll around. But on the ground, he can be a little bit more flat, doesn't have to worry about as much stability, and then he can just press heavier weights. So for Bryce, and for some other people, it may be more of an overload tool for him. You see him here just smashing out weights. Strong kid, works his tail off. Both Bryce and Dan are both in their early 20s, have a ton of potential in this sport if they can stay healthy and stay after it. Bryce has huge arms, huge shoulders. He benched 374 pounds in his last meet, and I look for him to press 400 or more very soon here. You guys may be wondering, Dan presses 411 pounds. My bench is not impressive, but I benched 363 in my last meet, and then Bryce is, 375 or so. Here I am showing how much I care about Dan. Just kidding. I was making sure his arms were even. Sometimes he rushes himself and his shit's all over the place. But what I was getting to is, the weights we're using are very sub-maximal. They're not even close. They're not even close to 80% really for any of us. And the goal here is just to get a lot of work in, which allows us to build muscle. It also allows us to grease the groove, quote unquote, and get our form better. Even with the floor press, the press and the setup is going to be very similar. And it also allows us to move fast and just work on everything we're doing. So that's why I have a majority of people, for the majority of your training, should probably be training in the 65 to 80% range. Whether that's for reps, sets, anything like that. I don't know what the delay here is. I'm just trying to get a handoff. Dan's messing around. I think Brian Shaw was in the gym this day, smashing on deadlifts in the background. I'm just looking around, people talking shit, just trying to get my bench press up. After this, basically all we did was some upper back work, some rows and chin-ups, then some dumbbell presses to get a little bit more hypertrophy in. The floor press, like I mentioned, takes away your legs, allows you to use a little bit more arms. It's a top range of motion movement, so you're not going full range unless you're very thick. If you guys enjoyed this video, like that bitch, share that bitch, subscribe to this bitch. More training footage on the way, as well as some instructional stuff and vlogs to come. Thanks, guys.